Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Connecting Dots podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Osama, and today I've been joined by Khalid Hussain, all the way from Germany. He has a proven track record in cloud technology, and he's also a big believer in giving back to the community and supporting the community in terms of their empowerment. And we'll definitely talk about it in detail in the podcast as well, so stay tuned. With that, I formally welcome you to the show, Khalid. How was your day?
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. Looking forward.
Amazing. Perfect. So let's get started. First of all, Khalid, share with us a brief elevator pitch about how your career progression had been. Because as your LinkedIn states that you've been with some of the top notch companies, and how had your career progression been? What were some of the challenges, and how was your journey overall?
Let me share you my journey. And
Mm-hmm.
I started my career back in 2004 around as a
Mm-hmm.
hardware support engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So, right after my FSc in college.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, I reached college. And after that, I could not manage to go to
Mm-hmm.
the university anyway in any area.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I did some job work into the hardware engineering, and it's related to the computing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, I learned a lot. Into that was some kind of international ventures
Mm-hmm.
that I worked. So it gives me really motivation that I need to grow into really big picture and work
Mm-hmm.
with international organizations.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, back in 2006, something happens with my father, family
Mm-hmm.
issues. I returned back. I left the job. I became
Mm-hmm.
totally a farmer because my background is rural areas
Mm-hmm.
nearby Lahore. So I
Okay.
start replacing my father and taking care of my siblings because I'm the big brother.
Mm-hmm.
In the meanwhile, I did not stop my studies. I did my bachelor in English literature and then I did my master's. But while
Nice. Yeah.
working at home and supporting my family.
Mm-hmm.
But by DNA, I was much more into the computing and gadgets like that. And
Yeah.
then I turned
Yeah.
back and I said, okay, I have to start something.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, my colleagues, they are doing the CSS or
Mm-hmm.
services exams. They try to
Yeah.
motivate me that let's
Yeah.
go into that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that my DNA is totally different. Can I adjust into the administrative services or not? But
Right.
one
Yeah.
trick happens with me that
Mm-hmm.
someone sent me the spam email. That was
Mm-hmm.
my turning point. And I discussed with my brother, and
Mm-hmm.
he mocked me and he make a joke about that.
Right.
And at that time I was not into the computing, and I start thinking that okay, let's dig deep that how this email systems works.
Mm-hmm.
I start researching, doing things,
Mm-hmm.
and then my was first goal that I have to
Mm-hmm.
achieve to be the email architect. I have to design it,
Okay.
I have to
Yeah.
learn it.
Uh-huh.
I pick up the laptop, I did the research over the internet, and I tried
Mm-hmm.
to do that. And yeah, and in 2012 and 2013, I
Mm-hmm.
start working as a system engineer in Microsoft Technologies. And
Amazing.
I
Yeah.
was totally self-taught.
Mm-hmm.
I never go to university. I never pick up any coaching,
Yeah.
mentoring.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I start working into that. And then I get one
Mm-hmm.
mentor. He advised me that Khalid try to do one degree at least in the IT.
Yeah.
And I started my MIT with the uh, semester conversion with the Virtual University of Pakistan
Mm-hmm.
from linguistics to computing. And
Mm-hmm.
then I started working there. And in the meanwhile, I get hired into the project where HEC, Higher Education Commission of Pakistan, trying to roll out Office 365 projects across the all universities
Mm-hmm.
in Pakistan. That was the
Mm-hmm.
largest project in EMEA, especially with Microsoft and Pakistan Ministry of Education.
Mm-hmm.
And we
But as far
started
as
there.
MIT
Yeah.
is concerned, so how did that plug into the picture?
Yes, I did the MIT because for conversion purpose, then you have to learn about basic
Mm-hmm.
business English or CS 101, that kind
Mm-hmm.
of fundamental programs. And
Mm-hmm.
then later on, I started studying, and then in the fourth semester, I completed my MIT there from the Virtual University. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And in that HEC project, that gave me the boost, and
Mm-hmm.
I became the team lead for that project in Pakistan, especially. And I
Mm-hmm.
get into the limelight. And
Nice.
luckily, Microsoft
Yeah.
contacted me, my manager
Mm-hmm.
that was in that role, and that manager actually declined that role. And Microsoft
Mm-hmm.
reached out to me. Okay, they said, Khalid, you
Yeah.
are Adnan is working on this project, and
Yeah.
we want to talk to you. Okay,
Yeah.
so then in 2016, I get
Mm-hmm.
hired into Microsoft Pakistan, and
Nice.
later
Yeah.
on, because still that I was not having a degree of MIT, I completed later
Mm-hmm.
on after my hiring.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, then I led actually financial sector in Pakistan and the
Mm-hmm.
enterprise sector and telco,
Mm-hmm.
like all banks. So I was leading actually digital workplace as well as security stack. So it was
Oh,
a
okay.
fun start there.
Right. How was your experience with the telcos though? Because that must have been challenging because they're they're always pushing the deadlines. They're always having meetings every single day.
Yeah, actually, I worked
Yeah.
quite with the UFON, with the Jazz,
Yeah.
and with PTCL. It's a
Mm-hmm.
tough discussions because there
Yeah.
is kind of a bureaucratic staff,
Mm-hmm.
but they are nice people looking forward
Yeah.
for revamping their technology stack.
Yeah. No, no, for sure.
So
Don't get me wrong. That what I meant was that typically with telcos, their service level agreements are very strict, and you
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
have to make sure that you deliver on time. And
Yes,
there's
yes, yes, yeah,
literally
yeah.
customer meetings every single day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a
Yeah,
tough situation because I worked with the
yeah,
Mobilink, let's say, in the
hmm
Jazz project, and it was a tough discussion because being a telco, they're having security concerns, and in that
yeah,
security concerns, they don't want to use a
yeah,
cloud. But
hmm
luckily, I'm able to convince them, and now they're using a cloud-based security solution for their data privacy and mobile
hmm
device management and enterprise security, whatever you can call it.
right, yeah,
And it was a hot debate, but again, it's an art to be a
yeah.
technical seller, so that I learned.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you pulled it off. That's amazing. So, other than that, Khalid, I've noticed that you've been a technical trainer for a certain duration in your career, but now you are very much focused in the security niche. So, I was very curious to ask you, like, what sparked an interest in you to be in the security domain?
Because by DNA, by nature, I'm a problem solver.
Okay.
So I always look one step back. That is my
Mm-hmm.
nature. I always not look into the front end and just
Mm-hmm.
looking into the picture that we see. No, look back,
Mm-hmm.
because that pop up from that email, actually, that triggered for my turning to
Mm-hmm.
the IT.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I worked a lot in digital workplace and
Mm-hmm.
in cloud infrastructure and designing and hybrid cloud architecture strategy.
Mm-hmm.
But that attack working surface is gonna bigger. So then I decided that I did a
Mm-hmm.
lot into digital workplace, into the cloud workspace, let's
Mm-hmm.
say. So let's focus on the specific strategic pillar where you
Yeah.
can add the value and save your energy, because the work-life balance is really important for me.
Yeah.
Because as a techie in the start, young age, we work
Yeah.
holic and we work,
Yeah.
but at
Exactly.
certain time you have to rest, and
Yeah.
you have to
Yeah.
be really structured. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
100%. So Khalid, once you've transitioned into the security side of things, so in your opinion, what are some of the most imminent challenges that the cloud domain is facing right now? Because as we understand that there's a plethora of services that we can avail, irrespective of who the provider is, either AWS, GCP, Azure, whatever. But what are some of the security implications that the cloud technology in general is facing in today's time?
the biggest challenge for the industry is to
Mm-hmm.
understand about cloud. What is actually the security? Security is not the name of any product, not the name of any book manual.
Yeah.
It's kind of a continuous practice with a layered, structured approach.
Okay.
So when we are
Yeah.
talking about the cloud, so in cloud, people trying to move into the cloud, but they
Mm-hmm.
have a different decentralized scattered islands,
Mm-hmm.
like something like that, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't have even their own consolidation. So
Right.
they're trying to rehost, replatform, use
Mm-hmm.
SaaS cloud or infrastructure, whatever. They don't
Mm-hmm.
strategize it. They just want to run the workloads. So
Right.
I always think into that my point is that my term, I call it secure digital transformation.
Hmm.
Let's start from the strategy, design, transformation, optimization, and management. So
Right.
go into the four structured ways.
Yeah.
And the biggest challenge is a gap of understanding of security. Security
Hmm.
again is a layered approach. In
Yeah.
talking to the cloud,
Hmm.
security of cloud and security in cloud. There is a two terms. Security of cloud is responsibility
Yeah.
of the vendors.
Hmm.
Amazon, Google, they are maintaining their physical facilities, hardware,
Hmm.
management, day-to-day tasks.
Yeah.
And sometimes customers think that, okay, they want to grab that security of cloud posture as well. It's not
Yeah.
gonna possible for them. They have
Hmm.
to start from security in cloud.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
And
that's
yeah.
a
Hmm.
big challenge, especially. And
Right.
largest threat
Yeah.
is
Hmm.
about data encryption, data
Okay.
security,
Yeah.
because right now our data is going any device, any location. Data is in the scattered islands.
Yeah.
How to manage it? How to
Absolutely. Yeah.
keep enterprise access management? That whole organization is working into the decentralized mode or hybrid
Hmm.
mode. They are accessing from work, from cinema. They are sitting in train. They are playing.
Yeah.
So I would say in cloud world, network perimeters was a hot topic 5, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But right
Yeah.
now, everything comes around the identity centric.
Right.
So I would
Okay.
say
Okay.
data
Yeah.
security and identity centric approach is a big challenge.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So other than that, considering the concept of, let's say, not of a monolithic application, but considering that if we have little blocks of
Microservices.
tasks, exactly like microservices, if we have that. And now I was watching a technical discussion by one of the technical directors at Netflix, and he showed a chart which really got me thinking that there are hundreds of thousands of microservices out there, and they're providing users with the functionality needed as quickly as possible. But at the same time, it gets really complex for human beings to manage that, because human mind can only understand to a certain extent. So if we talk about that concept, so in your opinion and experience, how do you think uh, the technology companies right now are understanding this equation properly, and how are they managing their way around it? So basically, complexity versus the functionality that they're getting.
I would say monolithic versus microservices, that is kind of a comparison, but I would say that's not best fit all.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there are the workloads that are stateless and stateful applications, I would
Yeah.
say.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it depends that I'm not the person to advise everyone to use Kubernetes or microservices. Again, it's a complexity.
Yeah.
And if you really need that,
Mm-hmm.
let's say if you need compute intensive workloads, then you
Mm-hmm.
need to go to the infrastructure as a service,
Yeah.
and you need to
Exactly.
connect with other services as well.
Yeah.
So microservices is not a solution fit for all, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we
Mm-hmm.
have to keep approach monoliths,
Okay.
semi microservices, and then
Mm-hmm.
microservices if we really need that. And
Uh-huh.
again,
Okay.
Azure or Amazon or Google, they're providing containerization services on the
Yeah.
into the VMs, let's say
Uh-huh.
host based. You
Mm-hmm.
guys can go into that if you're really interested in
Mm-hmm.
to run those services in front end into the microservices and back end as a database.
Yeah.
Definitely, you
Right.
can do that. You can make a semi, but
Mm-hmm.
again, it depends, and
Yeah.
there is a lots of security challenges also, that how
Yeah.
these small components will talk to each other, certificate
Yeah.
services and
Yeah.
connectivity.
Yeah.
These areas are really critical when you are managing, because developers
Mm-hmm.
mostly leave the loopholes while they're deploying, because they're responsible for their own service. They are not
Yeah.
taking care of the whole enterprise.
Of course. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think might be, I'm not wrong, there was a Tesla having some kind of consumption issue or usage problem.
Mm-hmm.
And they open up one loophole, and their one container eat up 1 terabyte RAM.
No way. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
That's insane.
yeah, and
Yeah.
some yes, like last week in Pakistan, it's kind of a cloud hest. I could not name
Hmm. Hmm.
someone. It I think so. Might be it's a financial sector or whatever customer.
Yeah.
Someone tried to spin up Microsoft's architecture
Hmm.
for whatever reasons,
Hmm.
and they consumed €500,000 or dollar
Hmm.
just in 3 days. It's kind of a breach, and
I
someone
think
spin
they
up in
wouldn't
their
even would have understood what they're doing at that point of time until they were hit by €500,000.
yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of a really challenge that yeah, that
Mm.
when you are trying to do any architecture,
Yeah.
you have to have a right
Yeah.
strategy, right design architecture, right
Right.
policy management and controls.
But
And
Khalid, at that time, it gets me thinking, like if we just talk about the fundamental certifications of either of the cloud providers, I think they do mention about these things that you should use your budgeting applications built into the portal, and you should use it so that you're aware of how much you're costing. Because I think they did document some reported cases from history when people incurred thousands of dollars when they didn't even know that it was being incurred by them. So I think it might be a tiny thing. I don't know. I might be wrong, but it just gets
you
me
know,
thinking.
you're
Like
right. You're
it's
you're
a tiny
right.
thing,
You're
but
right. You're right. But again, the topic is that if you don't have
yeah,
a right infrastructure,
yeah,
best practices or security best practices in place, because
yeah,
the problem happens when their user leave in 2021 and they disable his account
yeah.
and they did not delete his account, and
Aha. Okay.
the hash was
Okay.
still there somewhere,
Yeah.
and that subscription our billing model was linked to that user, and now they are still investigating. I
Yeah.
don't know further information, but it's
No
a
way.
cloud hest. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. So other than that, Khalid, what myths do you think have been busted for you once you started working in cloud security specifically?
Actually, myth in this perspective, because I worked into different stacks like identity
Mm-hmm.
centric and threat management landscape and
Yeah.
endpoint security.
Mm-hmm.
So for me
Mm-hmm.
is most of the people that the
Yeah.
working, either they're working into the digital workplace, either they're
Yeah.
working into cloud space. So for
Yeah.
me was the motivation or the really passion to
Yeah.
look into the end to end, the both side of the words and connect the dots.
Mm-hmm.
And these days might be you know the name zero trust topics,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that is
Absolutely.
actually
Yeah.
I'm driving with
Yeah.
that how people can get secured,
Mm-hmm.
or how people can get
Mm-hmm.
the value of the cloud, the hybrid cloud landscape with the
Mm-hmm.
maximum security. Don't
Mm-hmm.
block them, but be secure them. Don't block the people by picking up their
Yeah.
hands. Okay, don't do that. No, let them do. So it's kind of a
Mm-hmm.
secure productivity term, I would
Yeah.
say. Be let
Mm-hmm.
them be productive, but in the secure manner. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Other than that, do you have any cool traditions at work?
At work, actually, we practiced kung fu sessions.
Oh,
Let's
nice.
say
Okay.
kung fu sessions
Yeah.
means, let's say, if we have 5 or 8 tech people in the past
Mm-hmm.
roles,
Mm-hmm.
we assign the one topic to someone that you need to
Yeah.
present this, and
Okay.
all other 10, 15 people sitting around you as a badass customer,
Mm-hmm.
and they will grill you on the technical background or on the technical discussion. You have to present them
Yeah.
any topic, what comes in your topic. And
Okay.
it was every day, every week on Wednesday, like 4 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that tradition in the work,
Yeah.
because it's really muscle up you that to
Yeah.
face not only the real world customer,
100%.
your colleagues are the badass
Yeah.
customers, and they ask
Yeah.
you ton of bull questions. You have to answer them.
That's quite interesting. I mean, it really
Yeah.
helps in upscaling, honestly. Other than that, Khalid, since you have a long experience working with technology, so in your opinion, how is academia aligned with the industry needs at this point of time?
In which country? That's an important question.
Well, that's a good constraint. So let's say I don't know. It's
Globally, I would
yeah.
say
I don't
globally
know.
there is a big gap
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
In some institutes having good traditions because they are
Yeah.
putting you on job trainings with the
Mm-hmm.
different vendors, different areas. But still, I would say transformation rate of cloud or learning or
Mm-hmm.
technology is really on
Yeah.
high pace.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say students need to do the specialization with their degrees to
Mm-hmm.
be relevant to the market,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
it's a big gap between academia and industry.
Mm-hmm.
Because in third world
Yeah.
countries it's a big gap as well, because people don't know that what they're
Mm-hmm.
studying, because their curriculum is outdated, 10 years
Right.
old, and they
Yeah.
don't have a right research. And if some people get the chance to do the research but their
Mm-hmm.
professors are not capable to drive them
Yeah. That's
as
another
it
blocker. Yeah.
as a blocker,
Yeah.
and industry is also not giving you the chance until unless
Mm-hmm.
you are not well versed.
Mm-hmm.
Because if
Exactly.
you are a CEO of the company, and you
Yeah.
think that you will hire me as a blank guy, no way. You will
No
say,
way.
okay, he will
Exactly.
destroy the system.
Yeah.
So it's
Exactly.
kind of a
Yeah.
triangle, but
Right.
still we need to
Yeah.
improve that. We need to bring professional paths into the
Mm-hmm.
degrees with computer science,
Yeah.
IT, or software engineering,
Right.
that
Yeah.
we don't need to rely only on the buzzwords, and we
Yeah.
need to really learn that
Mm-hmm.
what industry needs actually.
Right, absolutely. And another thing that I was quite observant of lately was that for companies who are hiring for full-time roles, their criteria is very tough. I understand. But even for the same companies hiring interns, their criteria is a little bit lenient. But the competition is so much. For just one position, there are like hundreds of applicants. So it's really hard to jump off the page for someone who's just looking at resumes, because resume is as important as you are in person, because resume is filling the place when you're not physically there. So I yeah, that's one of the things that I kept thinking for a while, that maybe students should have something worth it on their resume, like something that would help them be relevant and be a better fit. I would say that they're gonna get a call. But anyways, it's the competition is too much in the market.
Yeah, I would like to add on this topic also, because
Yeah.
you open the right point. I am
Yeah.
also in hiring manager role, so
Right.
we do that. And let's say resume, especially in our countries, in Pakistan or other countries, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
or globally, that's a big problem, that we put overweight information on our resumes. That's a
Yeah.
big challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And in the
Yeah.
resumes, we don't need your
Yeah.
biography. We really need what you can
Yeah.
do, and
Yeah.
what's your capacity, and what's your passion. That's it. Three things.
Yeah.
And don't write your
Absolutely.
resume more than 2 pages.
Yeah.
That's it. We don't have time. Our industry, like people are using, like Google or other companies, they're using AI. If you don't
Yeah.
have a specific keywords related to that job, you get
Yeah.
rejected at the first place.
Yeah.
So meaningful, precise
Yeah.
information and humbleness must be there into your resume, not to
Mm-hmm.
show, write down what you did on the street, what you did on the
Yeah.
night, what you did on the day. So
Exactly.
don't overweight, and don't
Yeah.
write, use the titles. Let's say, like I was just talking
Yeah.
a few hours ago with one of my student, and
Mm-hmm.
he get a job role into the startup as a CTO. And I
Oh,
advised
nice.
him,
Okay.
I,
Yeah.
I advised him, please remove this title, put it like engineering manager, because he
Mm-hmm.
having just 6 year experience, and CTO
Mm-hmm.
title is too heavy for him. I told him that,
Yeah.
man, you will get a problem later on in your career path. People will expect a lot more than your weight,
Mm-hmm.
and try to be a intermediate.
Yeah.
And then he understands that. So
Mm-hmm.
again, in it, it's your intention that how you want that other will look at you.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. So connecting to the same question, Khalid. Let's say if we talk about upskilling in cloud technology specifically, I'll give you an example of what my thought process is. Is that, let's say if someone is to upskill in terms of pure programming, irrespective of the language, there are hundreds of repos on GitHub where they have sample problems with the source code, so that the people can practice and learn, and then they can refer back to it. Another example is lead code, algo expert and whatnot, right? So in terms of cloud technology, yes, I get it that you can get certifications, and you can have your experience authenticated. But how do you get actual hands-on experience? And let's say if I just want a list of 30 projects, let's say, and I want to implement them one by one just to develop an understanding, what is the most optimal way of doing that?
I would say first ask yourself that what you gonna do in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Ask yourself. Second question,
Okay.
you wanna do the coding in long term or not? It will define
Okay.
your real track, that way you like to go. If you want to do the coding, go into development or into DevOps tracks.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do the coding, go into the cloud architecture or scripting or security. So differentiate from the right. And then I would say finding the GitHub repos that nice to have, but learn the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Find out the YouTube videos with the best trainers who can give you the real understanding that what these cloud topics are. Because for my example, that I had a one mentor, he gave me the one line in 2013 before joining Microsoft. His name is Erdal Oskea. He's CEO, CISO of Komodo now.
Okay.
And he worked for Microsoft also. He's a professor in cybersecurity, PhD doctor in Australia.
Interesting. Okay.
He gave me the one line. He said, Khalid, learn things by heart and learn that what are the pros and cons of this product in future. Don't do the certification by certification. Full stop.
Okay.
And 2016,
okay. Yeah.
2016, me and Aradal was in the Microsoft together. So he also joined Microsoft MIA, and I was also part of Microsoft MIA. So in terms of that really try to focus on fundamentals, clear your concepts, and build your skills. Start with the one. Don't try to hit and trial on one project on Amazon, one on AWS, one on Google, one on Microsoft. Let's take a one train, be expert on that, find out the best practices, checklists, let's say, listen the case studies, find out the right case studies. Like cloud providers are really rich in the content. So try to follow, I would say, better to CSP provider, cloud providers, not to the public repositories. Everyone put the public repositories with their own taste, with their own version. But cloud providers are providing you the real right roadmap and the path to learn it with.
I agree with that part. But what I was referring to was more of the fact that, yes, I understand that you can follow the certification path and you can get certified. But the thing is, what if I want to complement my certification with some experience? Like, what if I want to put on my resume I'm just giving you an example. Like, what if I want to put on my resume that I've done so and so projects, and that's linked with my certification? So I didn't find any of those resources online who would give me experience of what a cloud architect does, let's say. So that's my question. Like with Lead Code and platforms like these, I can be an expert in coding with a lot of practice. But how about cloud technology? Are there any real world projects that people can practice other than certifications?
Yes, they do. Like if you go into the Cloud Guru or other practices, GitHub is full again with the labs or the manuals, let's say. But again, it depends. You want to be learned by yourself, or you want to go into the internship programs, might be, okay, with the certain companies. My key takeaway of this, that try to find some internship as well. Learn with someone who is really hands-on. Find a mentor who can give you the real world use case and the case studies to solve. That's actually help a lot, because in internet, no one will tell you that, okay, this is the pros, this is the cons. Okay, what happened when the failures occurs? Because everything is not for success. In cloud world, there is a buzzword, cloud. But again, we need to follow one line: people, process, and technology. That we need to take care of the people who want to use that technology. Process will be optimized using technology. And in certification, yes, it helps, but you need to find out the real world companies who can offer you the internships. And Microsoft, Google, or Amazon, they're offering the internships. Even with Evernet, Accenture, big companies are also offering you. And again, if you have a mentor, then he can help you with the real world use cases and the case studies that you can put on. And that actually the help when you're going to the real full-time job roles in the interviews, you had get the confidence
Yeah.
somewhere, and you answer their questions very well, and that's actually helps a lot.
Perfect, perfect. Other than that, Khalid, switching gears a little bit, I want to ask you about your core values. What are some of the core values that you uphold in your life as well as your professional life? Um, yeah, well, what are your thoughts on that?
For me, I always
Mhm.
keep my personal life and professional life separately.
Okay.
It's my first core principle because it
Mhm.
helped me to make a balance between my
Yeah,
professional career and this.
yeah.
Second thing is be honest with your profession. Do
Mhm.
your 100%. Rest,
Okay.
people will help you. Third
Mhm.
thing is try to be a team player. Don't be
Mhm.
the badass engineer into the team.
Right.
Fourth thing is
Yeah.
if there are some guys who are
Mhm.
troublemakers, don't
Mhm.
mess up with them. Try to work with them, help
Mhm.
them grow,
Right.
and
Right.
be a mentor in your team. That if someone need
Mhm.
mentoring, they need capacity building or upskilling, help them
Mhm.
to grow. Because
Mhm.
in tech world, you cannot fight alone. You need to build a
Yeah.
daily team, and that
Right.
spirit, 4 5 things I
Mhm.
always keeping throughout my career,
Yeah.
like mentoring, uplifting the people,
Mhm.
be a team player. Uh,
Mhm.
Active listener is most important factor.
Yeah.
That don't just talk and try to impose something. Be
Yeah.
analytic, listen,
Mhm.
assess, take one step back,
Yeah.
and look at what you can do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
most important thing is you have to have a
Mhm.
courage to say no.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Khalid, other than that, you're a very strong believer in community building and giving back to the society. So, in that perspective, what keeps you going?
Actually, I believe in blessings of the God. I don't believe in money or the status or the fame. That's
Mm-hmm.
my nature.
Mm-hmm.
My one of mentor,
Mm-hmm.
his name is Asim Abdullah. He's actually a database lead for QRMD in Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
He asked me one question in 2014. He said, Khalid,
Mm-hmm.
you learned a lot. You did a lot. What you
Mm-hmm.
did for others. On that
Yeah.
day, I'm
Mm-hmm.
happily to share that I started this microtext platform, and I
Nice.
set up
Yeah.
office, and I make a promise with myself that I have to deliver to the community.
Mm-hmm.
And long story short,
Mm-hmm.
I trained thousands of the people in Pakistan and bring them into jobs.
Wow. That
And
is very, very exciting. Yeah.
yeah, and
Nice.
still some people asking me that, okay, Khalid, what are you earning? Why you are wasting your time? I said, the real feeling is blessing. When someone
Yeah.
is happy, they are
Yeah.
supporting their life, and they're praying for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. You cannot buy that with money.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely. Agreed.
And
Agreed.
right now,
Yeah.
my students working for Amazon, for
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft, for Google, in Databricks, everywhere in the world, even in Canada, US, in
Nice.
Europe. So
Yeah.
yeah, and last week my two students got selected also in Microsoft Ireland and Microsoft Germany.
That is
So
excellent. That is so nice to hear that. Yeah, and I must say that you should keep doing that, and in a way that it's like I feel like once you've made it somewhere, you should make it a priority that you should bring one other person along with you. So if we scale that thing on a larger level, then we can see that we will totally empower our other generation, and and they'll do the same. If something good had happened to them, they're going to pass it forward.
I
That's
can tell
nice.
you the one short
Yeah.
story in just 2 minutes. That one girl I spotted, I teach her, and then I spotted her to get into the jazz modeling
Okay.
as a project coordinator. And after 3 years, she called me back and she said, Khalid, thank you very much. I am now manager
Yeah.
for project management. I said,
Nice.
I said,
Yeah.
pray for me, lady.
Yeah.
So the real thing
Yeah.
is my aim of life is that I
Mm.
want to leave my legacy in mentorship, that people will remember me in the good words. I need nothing out of it.
Yeah.
Definitely, Allah bless me a lot.
I mean,
I
yeah.
have everything, But still, in my capacity, I'm trying to do and deliver,
Mm-hmm.
pay back to community.
Excellent.
It
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
it's a better than
Yeah.
charity, I would say. If you uplift
Yeah.
someone and
Yeah.
become the helping hand and pick up them from zero level and bring
Yeah.
them into, like I can give you the story that
Mm-hmm.
in 2020 I started one fellowship program, and I shortlisted around 100 people, and I trained them 6 months. I spent my weekends to support them,
Yeah. Yeah.
and out of 30 students, they get into the jobs, into the different companies. People,
Yeah.
leads are, and managers comes to me, they said, Khalid, we need 5 people, 2 people, 3 people there,
Yeah.
get trained with you. Okay,
Yeah.
done. That's it. So
Nice.
all are
Nice.
now
Yeah.
consultants
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that feels really exhilarating. I mean, for me as a listener, but I mean, I'm sure that for the people you've helped grow, I think they're going to be really thankful for the contribution that you had in their life, and I'm sure that they're definitely going to pass the good ritual forward. So, other than that, you've been into multiple countries and you've worked with a lot of different people. How had your transition been from Pakistan to Germany?
Actually, I joined Microsoft in 2016, and in end
Yeah.
of 2017, after 2 years, I get a new role into Dublin office
Mm-hmm.
to support actually Africa and UAE dedicated
Mm-hmm.
markets.
Mm-hmm.
And after working like 2.5 years in Microsoft, I try to think that okay, now it's a time to leave to learn the new cloud
Mm-hmm.
technologies, not only just in the one train. So
Yeah.
then I get another role as a team lead for cloud infrastructure and security in one top 10 leading German employer.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked there 3 years, and I led public sector and lots of innovative projects.
Yeah.
And right now I am in Accenture
Mm-hmm.
globally. I am looking after actually the US
Yeah.
markets and
Mhm.
European market into cloud
Yeah.
security and zero trust topics. Yeah.
Khalid, other than that, now that we are heading towards closure of our conversation here, lastly, I want to ask you that now that you've served in a lot of leading positions where you might have worked with some of the C-suite level people, so in your opinion, what should be the traits that one should have to work in such a high-paced, high-pressure, and high visibility in an environment which is highly visible? So, what's your take on that?
Try to be patient. So that is, patience is your key for
Mhm.
C-suite. And try to
Okay.
be the leader, not the manager. Try to uplift again all the people together, like
Mm-hmm.
make a harmony there.
Mm-hmm.
Be a good listener.
Yeah.
Try to trust your people. In C-suite, you cannot be the C-suite if you are not trusting your peers or your people. If you want to do
Mm.
everything, then you are not C-level. Forget about that. So
Yeah.
and look into the one line, people, process, and technology, that how you can optimize, support your
Mhm.
people, how you can optimize your running processes of your organization, whatever.
Mhm.
It's a healthcare, it's a financial sector, whatever.
Mhm.
Technology bring at the third layer, because in South Asian countries, we just thinking about technology, technology, technology. But what I learned over the
Yeah.
years, people, process, and technology, we really need to align, sync up with those people who want to use that technology,
Mhm.
and that's actually the key points. And especially in C-suite, you have to really learn.
Yeah.
Technology is
Yeah.
very fast paced. If you think that you learned this 20 years ago, now you are totally outdated. You have to
Absolutely. Yeah.
keep it up into learning, and
Right.
don't you get hands in every project and everywhere,
Mhm.
because you will exhaust yourself. Try to be
Right.
on the level and look into your peers or the layers
Mhm.
what you structured for, and find
Yeah.
right advisors or helping hands who can help you into strategic ROI at the end.
Yeah.
ROI is a key factor.
Khalid, with that, we'll close our conversation here. I had an absolutely fantastic time talking to you today, and I wish you all the best, that you muster up courage, you keep going, and you keep fostering a very talented and a very techie community out there. As far as our audience are concerned, if you like the content, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and pass the content around to your friends and family. And until the next episode rolls out, check us out on other streaming platforms. And take care of yourself, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.